opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
If it's in the headlines, on the first page or the last, it's fair game here on the Sports Reel Podcast.
And we welcome you to a very special presentation of the Sports Reel Podcast, a side project, if you will, we're calling Ball Game. Along with Vinny, I'm Jason. We appreciate you tuning in here on a Saturday afternoon. We're going to be spending the next hour or so diving into Major League Baseball. But I'll tell you what, one of the things, Vinny, that I have really appreciated about not just what we're doing here at the PFC Entertainment Network, which we are broadcasting this live across Facebook, YouTube, and Riverside.fm. And if you have a question, the live chat is open. And in just a little bit here, I will be posting a link in the chat on the Facebook feed if you want to join the show with us and be a part of the conversation. Now, one of the things that I have really come to appreciate more than anything else since launching this network 6 years ago is you meet people from all walks of life, from different parts of the country, different backgrounds, and you find that things like with this, it's sports that is the common thread. But it really starts to broaden our horizons in terms of people that we interact with, and then next thing you know, we have new friends. And look, I've been doing this for a while now, Vinny, and I've talked to a lot of people across a lot of my shows since launching this network. But I have to tell you, and I'm not trying to be cute or blow smoke up your ass. There's no need for that. But of all the people that I talk to or have talked to on the air, you are one, I mean, in a very elite group that I genuinely look forward to the point to where we decided to take our love for baseball and do this side project. And because of how much fun that we have with it, this is going to start becoming a bi-weekly thing. So Ball Game is going to officially become part of the PFC Entertainment lineup on a bi-weekly basis. So you are a class act, my friend, and I really do appreciate what you do with your show. Just another sports fan. You are a class act, and I just wanted to start the show off with something positive here.
Right. No, I appreciate that, Jason. I really do. I look forward to these two. My number one sport is baseball, and it's very true. Like what you said, you do meet people that you didn't think that you would meet, and like you said, different backgrounds. You get to indulge in, what other people like, and you kind of combine it together. And as you mentioned in the beginning, with sports, right? Any sport, that's our escape, kind of, right, from life.
Supposed to be, yeah.
Supposed to be, right? You had bad day, good day, don't matter. Turn on the tube, for 3 hours. It's supposed to clear your mind, just focus on sports, which always made me feel better, of course. You know, you're having a crappy day, you put it on. Even if your team loses, it's the whole generation of sports together that put people together, right? I mean, sports can go a long way. Sports teach you discipline, teammates, right? To respect teammates. And if you look back, if you look at like people that really took this sport seriously, they usually have a great attitude, you know, a respect for other people, and discipline. I mean, I have learned that in my, 52 years on this earth and playing ball and other kinds of sports, that it takes all kinds to make a sport and to make that sport flourish even more than it can. So that's a very important part of my life, at least. You know what I actually did, Jason, on a little sidebar, which I think a lot of people don't do. I went onto YouTube, and obviously a Mets fan, and I don't know if you ever seen it, but 1986 Mets, A Year to Remember.
Yeah.
That was such a great, they put that together so well. I mean, they had the song. I mean, I put it on for me, my son, I pump it up. It's like, oh man, back then we didn't have all this technology, right? So you took what they gave us. It was like, oh my gosh, they're making a whole video on my team after they win the World Series. And you could point out too, back then, I remember where I was, what I was doing at that point of the World Series. I even tell my mother, I'm like, Ma, remember I was in middle school. We were on our way home, right, from a friend's house. And we're like, hurry up, get home. And my mom's like, Vin, don't worry. Next year's another year for the Mets always. Next year's, because that's when there was 2 outs in Game 6. And Vin, okay. And we pull in the driveway. We get up there. And that's when the magic happened, baby. I mean, you think about that. two outs, nobody on, right? They're down by 2. And this miracle, right? This miracle came, and it was the best gift, right, that a boy at the time can ever have, better than any other Christmas gift or anything. I'm only 5'7", but I think I hit my head on the ceiling jumping when they won. And let me tell you, it's those kinds of things that we're laughing now that you could think back to the good. I mean, yes, it's good today and everything, but back then was just a little bit more wholesome, more in your, not in your face, but this is what we have to present, and this is what you have to go off of. And you know what? If more people do that, like say you're a Tigers fan, go on YouTube, Google when the last time they won the World Series, or in '84 or something like that. You could pick up a lot of things, from the past to now, especially younger generations, right? They'll be able to see, oh boy, the strike zone was a little, looser back then, or this and that. Things have changed. Things have changed a lot. So, they could go back, kind of compare what they have today, and kind of piggyback off that. But yeah, no, it has been a pretty exciting year so far in baseball. In baseball generally, what's going on with everything. You want to lead us off with what we were talking about?
Yeah, for sure. And listen, Tim Sheridan popped up on here. He's watching with us live. I'm sure he's at work right now. I'm not going to tell anybody where he works. He put on there, Detroit basketball. Sorry, wrong show.
Yeah. Right.
This is why, number one, I knew I had to make this show its own entity. I got to get its own graphics, its own open, because we're kind of leaning into the Sports Reel podcast right now. So I'm sure people are be like, what the hell?
They're just talking baseball. What the hell's going on?
It's all baseball here today, folks. And it's not just, and this is what I'm going to appreciate most about this show, It's not just what's happening in the here and now. We can kind of compare and contrast to this generation, to our generation, to when Babe Ruth was playing. We are legitimate baseball fans with a love for the rich, rich, rich history of this game. They don't call it America's pastime for no reason. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Like it is what it is. But we are going to start this week with some very unfortunate news. The passing of manager Bobby Cox. When you talk about managers, Vinny, especially in the 90s, Bobby Cox was one of those true pillars. When you talk about managers in MLB, his name oftentimes was included in that conversation because of the success that he had with the Atlanta Braves, leading them to just a plethora, 5 National League pennants, which would garner him 4 times Manager of the Year in Major League Baseball. Fourth on the all-time wins list for managers in the big league level. This guy is nothing short of an icon. When you look at the 1990s Atlanta Braves, you talk about David Justice, you're talking about John Smoltz, you're talking about Tom Glavine, you're talking about all these power players that played on the field, but make absolute no mistake about it. The guy calling the shots was just as big of a star in that city as the best ball player. Bobby Cox gone the age of 84, and we wanted to spend some time to acknowledge his accolades, his contributions to the game. But it's also going to lead us into a conversation, Vinny, and I think this is going to be a real good one. Managers in baseball nowadays, they're just not, I don't know. Like, I know there are some exceptions, and I know hometown markets are going to rally around their guy. And I really appreciate that. But where are those icons in terms of managers nowadays? You know what I mean? Because there's nothing, I can't, I have to really sit here and put a tremendous amount of thought into, God, who is that head and shoulders in terms of star power, for the lack of a better term? Who is those most popular managers in Major League Baseball nowadays? For us, we're talking about AJ Hinch, and we talk about what he did with Houston before he came here to manage the Detroit Tigers. But when you look at managers for Detroit specifically, and I'll let you talk about the history with the Mets, because they have a rich history too with decent managers. But man, Sparky Anderson and Jim Leland, like, it to me, it gets no bigger than that. But Bobby Cox is gone. Let me hear what your opinion is on Bobby Cox, your memories, your personal memories, because you followed the National League a lot closer than I did back then, up until the World Series, because we didn't have interleague play back then. You
Right.
know what I mean? When we were growing up, I should say.
Right.
Until it was the All-Star game and the World Series. That's the only time I gave a fuck about anything that was happening in the National League. But what's your thoughts on the passing of Bobby Cox?
Well, like you said, yeah, I agree. Bobby Cox, same division as the Mets, right?
Right.
So I couldn't avoid it, Jason. I was forced, right? He was always beating us, right? It was, oh, we're going to get close. But like you said, 5 titles, 5 National League titles. I mean, they were on top all the time. I mean, it just didn't matter. It was like, okay, the Braves are in. The Braves are in. But like you've said, they had a Maddox. Maddox didn't throw in 95. He was very crafty. You had a Smoltz, like you said. He had such a great pitching staff that it was a start of, I want to say, an era of the pitchers, where you were so deep into being, pitchers back in the day that, now you can find a dime a dozen that throw 95, but back then they were crafty. They were crafty, they were smart, and Bobby Cox knew how to push their buttons. And he was no softy by no means. That man would come out and argue, and let me tell you, it was his way or the highway for Bobby Cox. Not like these managers today, obviously. No. Like a Lou Piniella, right? Lou Piniella's and for the Yankees over there, Billy Martin. Those guys were passionate, right? I mean, they just didn't like baseball. That was their life. I mean, Billy Martin going out there kicking dirt on the umpires, this and that. If you do that today, they'll call it assault. So, I mean, oh, you kicked dirt on me. I got a little. Nah, man, they were into it. You didn't have all these new rules, right? You didn't have pitch clock, this stuff. Baseball survived. It was always there. And what few, rules that we did have, that we, do have today, were good. Because, like you said, back then, there was no wild cards. It was either you made the NLCS or the ALCS. Next was the World Series. Done. Yep. So just think about that. How hard it was to get into the playoffs itself. These days, what is it? 8 teams in one division, whatever it is, in each league. Those are a dime a dozen now. But if you think about it, how hard really was it? Right? I mean, you remember in the papers, the divisions. You only had 3 divisions in each league. Right? And they were huge on paper. It was AL and NL. And you had to beat all those teams just to make the playoffs. And that was the NLCS or the ALCS, right? Right. And then from there, boom. Now you got what? Wild card, divisional, and then the NL or ALCS, and then the World Series. So I think it was a much harder time back then to obviously make the playoffs. So I think bumping off the managers, had a lot harder time, making the playoffs than today, more or less, because there's more teams in it at any time. They can get hot. But I'm going to defend, obviously, my generation that grew up, because I really do think that the managers had a tougher job to do. Handling all these, egos, which they do still have and everything. But today they can challenge. They can do that. Back then you could not do that. It was either this is the call and that's it. You can argue it, but you get tossed.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It has swung so far that, you want to say for the good, some. For the bad, there's a lot that we can pick from that is bad.
I totally agree, man. And the one thing that you said that really stands out in terms of managers, especially back in the day, and I hate using that phrase. It makes me sound old as dirt, but I mean, come on, man. You can look at a previous generation in just about anything. Just about. I mean, there are exceptions. But you're like, damn, everything was so much better before we had all of this other bullshit. It's supposed to make our lives easier, but in turn, if we're being honest, it creates more drama, more controversy, more chaos. That's why our internal makeups are in constant fight or flight mode. And like, it just seems like everybody's either so subdued or they don't know how to handle life. You look at the way things were back in the day, especially with the sports, man. You use the word passion. You threw some names out there. And when you say passion, like Billy Martin was one of the first ones that popped up in my mind, because that dude was a gimmick unto himself. So much, in fact, Vinny, that they invited him to be part of the first WrestleMania. Like, that's how big of a star Billy Martin was at that point, and in the New York market, because it was at Madison Square Garden.
You know, I don't remember that, Jay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they did, huh? They invited him to WrestleMania.
he was he was the ring announcer for the main event.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how I missed it. I just don't remember. Wow. So they
Yep.
brought him in, and think about it. As not bad as he was, how good as he was, how many times did he get fired from Steinbrenner? He brought him back, fired,
Right.
brought him back. Why though, Jason? Why? Because he was excellent. He was an
Yes.
excellent manager. You don't these days, right? If they fire you, they ain't hiring you back. They hired and fired him 3 times. That man, and he
Right.
came back. He didn't come back with a grudge. He came back. He did his job, and he was the same person as he was. It wasn't like, hey, you got to tone it down a little and do this. No, he was who he was. He was passionate about the game. He showed it, and he was a very smart manager. I mean, we got to say it. I know it's the Yankees. I get it, but you know, you got to
is
give
what it
due.
is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you really can't make an argument if the success is there. You know, and that's George Steinbrenner. Like, all he gave a crap about was winning the World Series, by hook or by crook. He did not care whatever it was going, however it was going to happen. He was, and that's the one thing I'll say about Steinbrenner. He's one of the most polarizing owners in all of sports, football, hockey, like all of it.
Absolutely.
The dude was a character of him. He wanted to win, and he was willing to do whatever it took. What I appreciated about Steinbrenner, even though I hated the fact that he owned the Yankees, he was able to put his ego aside for the betterment of the team.
Right.
And that's why Billy Martin was allowed to come back multiple times. Do you think Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys would be doing that? Probably not. He can't keep his finger out of the pot long enough because he's got to be front and center.
Yes.
Steinbrenner he didn't necessarily want to be front and center, but he would be for the betterment of the team. Polarizing, yes. Controversial, absolutely. But so was Billy Martin. And that's why the two of them work so well together most of the time. You know, it's just, it's crazy.
Steinbrenner, like you said, if you didn't like him, you had to appreciate. They were known as always what? Spending money. But like you said, it didn't matter. He wanted to win at any cost. Any cost. He wanted to win, like you said. Now you think about it. Yes, Steinbrenner name is a huge name, right? But think about the Suns. I always think about that. The ones that are running it now. Nobody's like George. Let me tell you, do you think George Steinbrenner would have kept the manager there that long? He would have been gone. He would have been gone after you lose in the playoffs twice? No, Steinbrenner would have had none of that. None of that. And that's where I think the generations clash. The old Steinbrenner, like I said, no, you'd be gone. The new Steinbrenners are giving a little bit more cushion and this and that. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but, from what I hear, who's the manager? It just for the Yankees.
Aaron Boone.
Boom. He's got to go. He's got to go. And why has he got to go? Like we discussed, he's too buddy-buddy with these players. And that's where Steinbrenner would have been like, you're done. You're done. Yeah. And what's wrong with the kids? Why aren't they seeing this? Why aren't people saying, listen, we got the team, we just don't have the manager. We need that right manager.
Can I tell you the answer to that?
Sure.
In my view, in my opinion, everybody is Vinny. We're doing this show on the internet. We're broadcasting this show over the internet.
Right.
And the internet provides people with immediate access to us. And people have this tool, social media, to put their message out there, to put their brand out there, but they want to accept all the adulation when things are going good, but they're afraid to stand in the storm when a decision that they make doesn't go to fruition. People hate to admit that they're wrong. They hate to look like they've done something wrong. And look, I get it. That's human nature, but that's what you signed up for when you assumed this role. You assumed this position, especially if you're gonna be at the top of a franchise as established as the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees is, in my view, and it's not just because I'm a baseball fan, but if you were to poll 100 people to say, name one sports franchise, it's going, I would believe that more often, like 5 out of 10 are going to say the New York Yankees because they have been billed as the epitome of baseball, as much as it sucks, especially for you being, being a Mets fan. But that's what it is.
Yeah.
So they're so goddamn worried about the scrutiny that they would get, the backlash that they would get on Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and all this other shit. They want to make the money, they want to earn the money, they want the World Series trophies and all this shit, man. But they just don't have the backbone or the guts to really make the tough calls that would garner that kind of success. And then they sit there and wonder, well, why are we winning? Because you are a pussy and you are afraid to spend money. We're having this problem in Detroit with our owners. The former owner or the predecessor,
Right.
the father, Mike Ilitch, loved the Detroit Tigers, loved the Detroit Red Wings, and was not afraid to spend money on these franchises to get us to a championship. Now, for the Tigers, it's been hit and miss. For a stretch of the Red Wings, they dominated the NHL. But now, since he has passed, his son has assumed that role, and we're sitting here with seemingly week by week on the Sports Reel podcast, which you hear live every Tuesday here on the PFC Entertainment Network. Why won't you spend money to give us the players that we need to win a championship for the Tigers? It's fucking frustrating beyond measure because they're afraid to make the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Because the internet fan community can be pretty goddamn toxic, if we can be honest. You know what I mean?
You nailed it. Absolutely. Because if you go back to 1980s, you didn't have that. So you didn't know what was being said behind the scenes. Right?
100%.
Like you nailed it, Jason. The internet. If they tweet something out or anything, you know about it right away before you have to wait for the manager to come out or the owner to come out and make an announcement. These days you don't have to, like you said, they're right in your living room. You wanna look up the manager or the owner and see, you got it. So like you said, yes, they are afraid. They're afraid more today because of the internet. Yes, to make a decision because that whiplash could be a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you say the wrong word or this and that, they go nuts. So, for them, to me, they shouldn't be tweeting anyway, right? They shouldn't be putting that out there. You're an organization where it is your temple. That's your temple. And you have to protect that temple. If you start letting all this, baggage out, this and that, it's not good. Keep that in-house. And these days, like you said, you just can't keep that in-house because somebody's going to be right beside you going, look what he's doing. Let me tweet that one out. Look what he did here. It's really not fair to anyone. You just don't know, as far as we know, how far it goes as far as that,
I have maintained the same thing, and we actually had Matt on the show from Lips, Puck, and Chirps on this last week, and I didn't even lean into that, and he had said the same thing. the internet, the social media aspect is ruining the entire sports landscape, because a lot of what we're dealing with Tarek Skubal, we'll be talking a little bit more about him here in a minute or in a little bit. You know, we as fans, I don't really feel like we needed to know what the status of his contract negotiation was. It was his fucking agent that went on Twitter, put a tweet out there, and then Skubal followed suit. And it's like, what are you doing? I know what you're doing. You're trying to garner public sympathy, and you know, trying to babyface themselves and make the Tigers the ultimate heel. Wrestling jargon, of course, but I mean it's real life. You know, you have your good guy, you have your bad guy. Right now, they're trying to present the Tigers as the bad guys. And look, make no mistake, the Tigers have mishandled this thing as much as anybody. But it didn't have to be on social media. None of this had to be on social media. But everybody has to know everything about everything. And like, there's got to be a line, man, because if this keeps going, it's going to ruin even more so. It's going to start chipping away at the integrity of the sport, is what I'm worried about. And I mean, baseball, football, hockey, basketball, I don't give a fuck what we're talking about. Right. Like, that's where it's heading, because people, they love themselves, man, and you can see it in real time.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I'm not going to ask you, hey, Jason, how much you make a year, right? You'll be like, Vin, go fuck off. You know, it's none of your business. Exactly. And then I used to work for the city. Why is my shit out? Oh, it's public information. They show you how much you're making. To me, that's nobody's fucking business. That's nobody's business. It's public this. Not really, no. Not to the individual, it's not, right? Like you said, whatever deals they make, and this is what sparks it, right? Oh, he just signed for $800 million. Oh my God, right? It's like, holy cow. So now we're chasing the buck. Now that gets the agents rolling. Well, if he got that, let's try to get this, and let's try. Right. And pretty soon, look what the average payroll is now in Major League Baseball. I think it's per player is making at least $5 million or more. At least. Back in the 80s, they were making $300,000. You know, the rookies. If they were good. If they were good. They were good. That was a lot of money back then, you know. Yeah. But now they're just, Jason, they're throwing it out like it's fake money. 800 million, 600 million. When does it stop? It's only going to go higher, right? It's not going to come lower unless they put a cap on the son of a gun, but it's getting way, way out of hand. The next thing you're going to hear is, a 10-year deal worth $1 billion. I mean, really?
Shohei Ohtani.
Right. We get it. He's freaking good. We get it. But really? I mean, like I told you, give me $5 million. I'll be fine. I'm good. Do you really need $1 billion for what? Right. That extra boat you want? I mean, after a while, it becomes humorous. It's like, you know, what I hear from people that are really not sports fans, Jason, is, why do they make so much money? I'm sure you hear it too. Why are these sports players they're only playing a game. They do make a damn good point, but they are athletes and they do keep their bodies in damn good shape and they work hard. So I put that part out there, but there is a fine line. There is that fine line where, they are playing a game. I get it. They're traveling and stuff, but the aspect, you know, what gets you paid is obviously keeping yourself in shape and having that God-given talent to make the major leagues. Yeah. Right.
And I know we kind of went off on a sidebar here, but I have a fun list I want to run down, Vinny, that I just came across, getting back on topic with the managers. And when we talk about the greatest managers of all time, you know, there was a reoccurring thing that we would do on my 80s nostalgia show where we would come into it with a topic, but then I would find a list and the top 5 or top SNL skits from the 80s, or the best movies with Michael J. Fox, or, you know, some shit like that.
Right.
Well, As luck would have it, our good friends over at Ranker.com has compiled the greatest managers in MLB history. I'm going to run down the top 20 here, starting at the bottom and working our way up. And you tell me how you feel about this.
Okay,
Because
this should be good.
I'm known for butchering a list. You know, if I don't agree with it, I'll call these motherfuckers out by name.
Right.
I do not care. Coming in at number 20, Cincinnati Reds manager Frank Robinson. This guy managed a long time ago.
Long time ago.
But he checks in at number 20. Number 19, San Diego Padres skipper Dick Williams. Now,
The first name tells it all.
as a Detroit Tigers fan, Dick Williams lives rent free in our heads, and I'll tell you why. If you know anything about the 1984 World Series, that's the last time the Tigers won it. They played the Padres. Goose Gossage was on the mound very late in the game, and Kirk Gibson was coming up. Now, Kirk Gibson's debut, he struck out to Goose Gossage. Okay.
Right.
Dick Williams made the call for Gossage to walk Gibson because it was, like I said, it was very late in the game, and I don't remember if San Diego had a one-run lead or if the Tigers were just ahead. But Goose did not want to walk Kirk Gibson. He thought he could strike him out in the World Series, Game 5 of the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, has history shown, it's one of the most replayed clips. Like, Gibson got a hold of one and sent that son of a bitch so far into Tiger Stadium. Like and if Gossage had just listened to his manager,
Yep.
that would not have happened, and that game probably would have had a different outcome to it. But when I see Dick Williams' name, man, like that is the first thing I think of. You think you can strike him out? Yeah, I can strike him out. All right, well, go ahead.
Right.
Meanwhile, Sparky Anderson's in the dugout just rolling. He don't want to walk you.
You know what? Yeah. Smoking on his cigarettes and all that. Oh, yeah. I love it. There you go.
Moving on here. Number 18, you mentioned him earlier, Lou Piniella.
Okay.
17, Whitey Herzog.
Okay.
16, Leo Duroche. Some of these are, you go way back, 20s, 30s. Number 15, Walter Alston. 14 is Billy Martin. 13, more recently, Terry Francona. He's one of the last managers of that generation. He's been around the horn and had a lot of success with Boston, with Cleveland. Where are you at on Terry Francona?
I love him.
Yeah.
He's like you said, he's a class act. He's a hell of a coach. Like you said, he's basically one of the last, of the generation. Francona has been, a few different teams, and wherever he's been, he's successful. I mean, he's a damn good manager. You don't see him getting out of sorts too much, this and that. He's got control. He's got control over that team. I loved Francona. Absolutely love him.
Now, when I say Los Angeles Dodgers managers, who's the first one that comes to mind?
Tommy Lasorda.
Number 12.
Yep.
Yes,
I love Tommy. Tommy didn't he look like that grandfather you wanted near the end? Just to talk some knowledge, sit down next to him. He was not just an awesome manager. He was an awesome human being too. He really, really was. I was really into that guy. He was, he was a class act. He really was. I like Lasorda. I really do.
I did too, and that's he's one of the reasons why I don't hate the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't necessarily root for them all the time. It's situational. But I always respected Tommy Lasorda, and I'll always remember the '88 World Series when the Dodgers beat the Athletics, and everybody's running out on the field, and I mean Tommy Lasorda, and he wasn't in the best shape, if we could be
Right.
honest. But that son of a bitch was out there running around and jumping and hollering like he had just scored the winning run. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
that youthfulness that he brought, but at the same time, he was not one to fuck with. He was not
No.
there. You know what I mean? So,
No. No, that's great. Like you said, I was just talking about that the other day. Gary Carter.
yeah,
I know we're staying with managers, but I'm just saying, I was just talking about what you just said. Gary Carter. Anybody go look at the YouTube. He played the game, and I think you'll agree, like a kid. He was always, like you said, jumping and high-fiving and just, I mean, excited. He was like, they called him the kid.
yeah.
That was his nickname. I mean, he was like a 10-year-old trapped in a 30-year-old body. I swear. And I love to see that. Right? That's
100%.
genuine. That is so genuine. A lot of people think, oh, I'm all grown up. I got to be cool, this and that. No, man, you played the game since you were a kid. You fell in love with him when you were a kid. That's how you should be feeling when, obviously, if you make the major leagues. I mean, it was refreshing to see. Refreshing to see that again.
For sure. Continuing on in this countdown, number 11, I mentioned him, one of my favorite managers of all time here locally, Jim Leland.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, Jim Leland, if you were to create from a mold a MLB manager, it would be Jim Leland. Like that son of a bitch, like he he was a gimmick, man. But I loved him. I loved him so much. I when he was managing Pittsburgh is
Yep.
when he came across my radar. I'm like, that's a manager.
Yes.
That's a manager. And then he moved on and managed the Florida Marlins to the World
Yep.
Series.
Yeah.
And then he came here and totally turned around the Detroit Tigers, and he led us to the World Series in '06 and 2012. It didn't, fare well for us, but man, what like that dude needs a statue, right? He and Sparky both.
Yes.
They need statues at Comerica Park, or what's known as Comerica Park. They're going to change our
They're going to
ballpark.
change.
Yep.
Yeah. It's all these freaking corporate names they're putting out there. Like
Yeah.
Shea Stadium? No. City Field. What the frig, man? Yeah.
Right.
No, I get it.
All right, the top 10 here. Connie Mack checks in at number 10. Number 9, Joe McCarthy. 8, Bruce Bochy, more recently. A lot of success with the Giants, leading them to multiple World Series titles
Yeah.
every other year. What that
Yeah.
weird stretch, the even years
I
for a
know.
hot minute there.
That was weird. Yes.
Number 7, Bobby Cox, that we were talking about. 6 is Casey Stengel. 5, Sparky Anderson. 4, Earl Weaver. 3, Tony La Russa.
I knew Tony La Russa. The Juice era.
I'm having a real issue with the fact that Tony La Russa is ranked higher than Tommy
Yeah.
Lasorda.
Nah, exactly. No. That can't. That whoever wrote that, like you said, no, no, you cannot. That's a big no. No, Tony La Russa.
Yeah.
You can't compare. He can't lick his Sparky Anderson's toe. Really? I mean, I get it. He was a good manager, but look at the era. Okay, got to break it down. There's a lot of
Yeah.
steroids being done there. Okay, and back in Sparky's and them, no, you didn't have all of that, man. It was still hot dogs and beer, and Um, and even if it wasn't that case, I'm still taking Sparky and all that. No way. I'm taking them over LaRussa. Absolutely. I don't know why he's ranked that high, Jay. If I would have ranked him, I would put him in the teens, 16, 17, something around there. Not number 2 or 3. No, no.
3.
3.
Because
No.
number 2 is Joe Torre.
Nah. All right, Joe. Go get your sister the nun and go pray. My God. Oh, I love him. I mean, don't get me wrong. He just had too much of them.
Yeah.
You know, too much in one dose. I mean, he was great, but no number 2. No, no, no. You could make an argument. Sparky number 2. Yeah.
So coming in at number 1 is John McGraw. I don't know who John McGraw is, but what they have here is his dates, Vinny. He lived from 1873 to 1934, and they have him listed as the number 1, the greatest manager in MLB history. I want to look at this list real quick, and we'll run through this real fast. Now, they have the top 10 best managers right now. Number 1 is Bruce Bochy. Number 2, Terry Francona. 3, Craig Counsell. 4, Brian Snicker. 5, Dusty Baker. 6, Dave Roberts. 7, Kevin Cash. 8, Buck Showalter. 9, AJ Hinch. And 10, Bob Melvin.
Okay, I mean,
I've seen
yeah.
worse.
I've seen word. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know what? They're not horrible names. You know, it's not too bad. Bochy, I like.
Yeah.
I do like Bochy. Yeah, Bochy is. He's with Texas now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, he's a good manager. He's more that old time manager, but in today's game now too, I would say. But AJ Hinge, I haven't seen enough of yet. Who else did you say on that one?
Buck
that you don't-
Showalter.
Buck Showalter, so. I mean, he was with the Mets for a little bit, and then I didn't see nothing crazy from him. I wouldn't put him too far up there. I mean, okay, in some situations, but no, not really. I'm not a big fan.
They also have Dave Roberts on here, and I have a lot of respect for Dave Roberts, the current manager of the Dodgers. That dude is as intelligent in baseball as anybody that I've ever seen, and he was a good player. I remember watching him when he was part of the Boston Red Sox during their miracle season in 2004. He was a pivotal part of that team, and to see him make a transition to this level, because how many other players have tried their hand at managing, and they may have been great on the field, they just didn't know how to communicate why they were great and try to instill that in players. Bless his heart. Here I think about Alan Trammell. He got handed a real shit team too. Make no mistake about it. But he wasn't able to adapt to the managerial side on that level. He was a good bench coach. He was a good first base coach. But in terms of manager, just I don't know, something was lacking there, and we've seen that a time or two. Goddamn, trying to think of his David played for the Cubs. Why can I not remember this? It was their catcher the year they won the
Ross?
David
Ross? David
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The Cubs hired him to be a manager, and it didn't work out all that great. And I really wanted that for him because I love that guy too. You talk about youthfulness and bringing that energy, man. He was the senior veteran of that 2016 team, but he just couldn't bring that bring that knowledge in a way that the players needed to receive it. And
Right.
that's so unfortunate because I really love that guy.
Oh, he was awesome. He was
Yeah.
awesome. What was he? 38 when they won the World Series,
Yeah,
right?
I think he was 40, right?
Yeah, he was up there.
Yeah,
And
because they were making a big deal about it. Are your knees going to hold up? You know, that kind of bullshit.
right, right. But you make a good point, Jason. Just because you were good on the field doesn't make you a great manager.
Right.
You need the knowledge, as you said. You need to think out the box a little. You have to manage a lot. Personalities, you got to know how to react to that, right? A lot of people don't have patience either. They just blow up. Boom, I'm done. Dave Roberts, I agree. I agree with you. He is such a smart manager, okay? And he's got the best team, you know. And people will say, well, you know, Jay and Vin, you know, they're throwing money. They got all-stars. Yeah, but you know what? They're winning with them, and he's making the right moves. He's so intelligent that he went from playing and brought that experience, everything that he got, to managerial, and has been nothing but a success. And you have to respect someone that does that because, like you said, not everyone is built for that. Some are a bench coach, some are pitching coaches that work out, and you'll see they'll go off. It won't work as a manager. They'll go back as a bench coach or a pitching coach. That's where sometimes you're just meant to be, Jay. That's where your job is. When you try to go above your job limit, say,
Your pay grade.
your pay grade, right? Your pay grade. That's when I think you start to get in trouble because you go, I could do what Joe Torre did, or I can do. Listen, it takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of patience to run one of these ball clubs these days. It really does. And you got the GM chirping in your ear 24/7. So, you know, I mean, you could make a whole argument. Look, all the managers that got fired. Do you agree with the Red Sox manager? I didn't think he should have got fired.
No.
No.
This
Cora?
What are you doing?
But he
I mean,
he
we're just
won.
in the middle of May, you know?
Exactly. What you're saying is we give up on you already. 3 weeks in the season, 3 weeks in the season, we give up on you. Huh? I don't like that fast of a flip, Jay. Mm-mm.
No, I'm with you. That's give a guy, and I get it, and I understand it. If it was any other team other than the big five, you know, Yankees and Dodgers and Red Sox, I could throw the Mets in there too, just because you know
Yep.
their payroll.
Right.
Who would be the last one? That's
Probably Houston.
yeah,
Probably
yeah,
Houston. They've been in it so much and competitive, and
yeah.
you know, I do like Altuve, of course. You know, he's
Do
a
you?
good- You know, well, I guess I'm talking as a short guy, so maybe that's why I like him more. I'm rooting for the shorter dudes.
No, I
wasn't
feel
for- But you know, I respect him. What, 5'7" and jacking home runs like that? I mean, you do have to respect. I mean, that is a talent there.
He's a good player.
He's a good player.
I just wish he didn't play for Houston.
For
you know?
Houston, right.
And I think, look, man, I don't hate Houston. They just really fucking annoy me.
Yeah.
They, you know, when Verlander left here, that's where he went, and I hated that. And then all the controversy with the sign stealing and everything that
Yep.
marred the 2017 World Series. You know, people have put an asterisk next to it. They don't
Yeah.
acknowledge it. You know what
No.
I mean? AJ Hinch was the manager of that team, and that's why I had reservations about him coming here. But
Yeah.
so far, he's, you know, it's been hit and miss with him. You know, he goes through stretches where it's like, damn, this is the greatest manager that we've seen since Leland. And then, you know, a couple days goes by. Why does this guy still have a job? You know what I mean? But I mean, that's with any team, you know, out of frustration. Unless you're the Colorado Rockies, who are just, you know, and it fucking pains me, man. Bud Black was a good manager. He
Yes.
just didn't have a whole hell of a lot to work with in Colorado. And aside from we had they had Trevor Story for a minute. They had Nolan Arenado for a
Yep.
minute. Charlie Blackman, who was my favorite player at that
Yep.
time. Yeah,
Exactly.
but they didn't have enough supporting pieces to fill the rest of the field and the lineup. And their pitching was pretty atrocious too. Who we could,
Right.
but they that town now has a culture of baseball where they just expect to lose all the time, kind of like the Cubs
Exactly.
did for the longest.
Right.
And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be this way. Your owners allow this to happen.
Yep.
And now there is a growing groundswell in Denver for this dude to sell the Rockies. And fuck, I'm all for it. If you get somebody in the front office that actually is going to invest in that team, Vinny, do you know how excited I was in 2007 when they actually made the World Series, only to be swept by
Swept.
by the Red Sox?
Yeah. Yep. You finally get there. You don't win a freaking game. It's
Right.
like, right. It's almost like the Pittsburgh Pirates, kind of like that same mindset. It doesn't have to, like you said, it doesn't have to be that way. You need an owner that cares, number one, that wants to win. That you don't need an owner that says, I want to buy this team because I want to just make money and that's all I want to do. Wrong. I wouldn't even, you know what I mean? You want the right qualities in a buyer, of course, that's going to buy the team, right? For Cohen, for the Mets, right? I respect him. He's a big Mets fan. His dream came true. He owns the Mets, but like I told you, this year the Mets, he blew his load. He really did. He let all those players go. And what I tell you, Jason, you pay too many people like that, and that's what it was. Now this is a regressing year. They're regressing because he didn't have the money. Now it's the farm team. I knew we were going to run into trouble like this because when you put all those people out at once and then don't sign them, that tells me you don't have enough money to sign them. Like Alonso, like Nimmo, they let. Look at all the pieces. Now you put this team together. Then they want to get rid. Then there was, get rid of the manager. No, there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
I think he learned a big lesson. The owner of the Mets, because he came into it like a kid. Okay, I'm going to put a big team together. But he learned very fast that you can't just plop them out there and then not pay them after their contract is up. You can't do that if you want to keep winning in New York. And in New York, every year they want to win. So
Yeah, I mentioned Matt was on the show last week with us from Lips, Puck, and Chirps, and he's a big Mets fan. And I had mentioned you on the air when we were talking because he was saying the exact, just damn near the exact same thing you said a couple of weeks ago here on Ball Game, and what we're talking about here and now. Like he echoes that sentiment, and I just like. There's a couple of other people that I know that are Mets fans, and if I'm going to pick a New York team, it would be the Mets, just because
you can't stand the Yankees.
My hatred, my unadulterated hatred for the Yankees, the evil empire.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel you because as a Tigers fan, as a longtime Cubs fan before they started winning. Rockies fans since their inception in 1994. Like I'm used to rooting for a losing team, but it's
hard. It's hard.
It is. But on the flip side, when they do good and they are winning, brother, I am front and fucking center with that banner waving, and I am the first motherfucker to shut down the first Fairweather fan that hopped on the back. Yo, get the fuck out of here. Where were you when this team had the worst lead or the worst record in the American League history? Go fuck yourself. You
Yep,
don't get to
yep.
be here with me. You don't get to. If you want to cheer, go to the very back of the line. I got no room for you here. You know what I mean? This is where real fans stand. Feel me?
Right, right.
Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, Jason. I agree. Yeah, you always have them. Oh, I was a Mets fan. Get the hell out of here. 3 years ago, you were a Padres fan. Okay, get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, you
You were the
know.
fan of who won the World Series last? Oh, you're a Dodgers fan now, right? And
Yeah,
before
yeah.
that, you were a Cardinals fan. And before that, it was the Red Sox.
Yeah, they never lost.
Here.
I
Yeah.
rooted for every team that won the World Series. It's such bullshit.
I love all teams.
And you know what? Even John Sterling died, right?
Yeah.
For the Yankees. And I'm on TikTok and people are, making stories of it. And I said, yes, I feel bad. He was a good individual, but I still hate the Yankees. Then, oh, how can you still say that? Hey, exactly. I'm not bashing the guy. If you want to be honest, I didn't like the commentary. If you ever heard of me, he got it wrong almost every time. It's a home run. No, wait a minute. Hold on. It actually is a foul ball. Get the yeah, as I'm listening, I'm like, ha. And then the one, yeah, it's going, and it's gone. No, it bounced back into play. It's a ground rule. No, dude. No. Good guy, but you had your shit wrong. And then he would make up with his name. It's a judge. Oh, rise your ass. Sit down. Oh my God, I couldn't stand it, after a while. But he wouldn't have been that bad, Jason. But he really did make some awful calls. I was on my home from work and I'm like, what the hell? It's gone. I mean, he's going like it's, the 7th game of the World Series. It's gone. Oh, wait a minute. That was a foul ball. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I'm like, what? Yeah, no. Good dude, bad announcer. Sorry, Yankee fans out there. I know I'll get a lot of backlash, but I do not care.
Hey, go ahead and send me your hate tweets over at PFC Network on Twitter. I'll take it. I don't think it's fuck if I can be honest.
Exactly.
One more thing I want to touch on, and then we'll look at this past week in MLB. Sure. We'll take a look at the standings and see where things are sitting right now. But we opened the show this week with the with the passing of a longtime Braves manager and icon Bobby Cox. But if you are affiliated with the Atlanta Braves organization as a fan, as an executive, this has not been a good stretch of time for you, because also we learned that Ted Turner had passed away. And Ted Turner, longtime owner of the Atlanta Braves, media mogul, started TBS, started CNN, started TNT, really created an entire empire that did include the Atlanta Braves, very, very much front and center as the owner of the Braves back in the day, instrumental in bringing in Bobby Cox and, paying these players that would, generate a dynasty, for especially in that division. Like the Atlanta Braves owned the NL East for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And Ted Turner was the guy at the head of that. We took it, we look at Ted Turner. I do, I acknowledge him for CNN and all that, and I acknowledge him for owning the Atlanta Braves. But he really came on my radar because he purchased what would become WCW and starting the infamous Monday Night Wars with the WWF for TV ratings for pro wrestling. It was crazy. But it just goes to show what kind of mind for business and how much love and fanfare that he had for his passion projects. The Atlanta Braves was very much under that umbrella. And, reading a lot about him in the last few days, one of the most respected and feared too in some regards, but respected owners in recent MLB history. So we did want to make mention of that. Ted Turner also passed away, 84, I believe he was, or 87. Like it, they,
87. Yeah.
yeah. So
But you make a good point, Jason. Without him, there's no TNT, there's no TBS, CNN. He's made, like you said, in someone's life, you're lucky if you become big at something. He became like what you just named off is an empire, right? CNN, TNT. He opened up for wrestling. He made all these avenues for more or less, to get to. When back then there was really nothing on, like you said. And let's admit it, all of the '90s was the Atlanta Braves. It was, like you said, they dominated. It was from '90 all the way through into the early 2000s. So like you said, it was Turner Classics and all that kind of stuff. He's done a lot, and like you said, you have to respect what he has done. Absolutely, 1,000%.
all right, well, let's switch gears here and take a quick look here at the last part of this week's program. Let's look at the standings and other headlines that are happening here today in Major League Baseball. We sat here, Vinny, just a little bit ago and gave the Atlanta Braves the title, the best team in Major League Baseball right now as of today, and we were inaccurate. You want to take another guess as to who the best team in baseball on May the 9th is right now? You're not going to believe it.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead, tell me. Oh gosh.
The Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah. Oh, I was looking at the standings 2 days ago. Oh my God. What's their record, Jay?
Okay, so the Cubs are sitting at 27-12 with a 692 win percentage. The Braves are a game behind them. That's for the National League. In the American League, the New York Yankees are sitting at 26-13 with a 667 win percentage. A half a game behind them, to my surprise, are the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes. We don't give a lot of credit to the Rays, Jay, but think of what they've done with all these kind of different managers, talking about the managers too. They're legit, always legit. When they first came out, they had a few bad seasons, but let me tell you, they're Yankee destroyers.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, right?
Yes, they are.
And you cannot sleep on Tampa Bay at all. No, they're for real. They're
right. You're absolutely right. As I'm looking at the divisions here, let me focus on the American League real quick, and then we'll switch over to the National League. But right now, the Yankees are in lead of the AL East. The AL Central, right now, the Cleveland Guardians are sitting on top of that. The Tigers and the Royals tied at second for second place. They're actually playing each other this weekend. So this is a big series for both Kansas City and Detroit. In the AL West, the Athletics continue to lead the homeless at the homeless Athletics are leading the AL West with a game and a half lead over Seattle Mariners. Now, right now, I don't know if you caught any of this, Vinny, but right now, obviously the A's are playing in Sacramento because they can't play in Oakland and Las Vegas is not ready. So they're playing in Sacramento, and their attendance was, pretty abysmal for having an MLB team literally in your backyard. So, of course, me being me, during the Sports Reel podcast, I cut a promo on the folks of San Francisco. That clip was isolated and redistributed and garnered quite a reaction from folks in the Sacramento area. I am not popular there. If I was to run for mayor, I would not win because I have pissed people off. I have hurt their feelings because, the argument was that it's too expensive to go watch this team play. And number one and number two, we're Giants fans. Okay, I understand the Giants fans part, but I went live on the air. I brought up tickets to athletics games, and when the Yankees were in town, yes, very pricey ticket, $130 was the cheapest I could find. But if Cleveland went in there to play, $40. So calm the fuck down. It,
Exactly.
you don't. I'm not saying go see the Yankees. I'm saying enjoy this Major League Baseball team and its rich history while it's playing in your backyard before it goes to Las Vegas.
Yep.
Now I have a whole feeling about the whole Oakland thing, and I have documented. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, much like Montreal and everything that happened
Yep.
with it, especially with the Netflix thing that came out. You really got a feel for what really went on with the Expos. Makes me sick if I could be honest with you. But in spite of all of this, the A's are still leading the AL West. I mean, the Mariners, the Rangers, the Astros, and the Angels. The Angels haven't done shit in a long time, but this is
The
not the team
A's.
I expected, man. Like I expected the Texas Rangers or
Yep.
the Seattle Mariners to be
Yeah. They
running
got
away
good
with
pla-
this.
They got good players, Jay, on the A's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got some really good talent. Now, like what you said, wouldn't it be ironic if they made the World Series?
What
And
if they
they're
won
play-
the motherfucker, dude?
Right.
Because and we talked about this on the other show. Okay, you look at the history of the World Series. 2004, Boston Red Sox. 2009, New York Yankees. 2026, Athletics.
That's Jay. You don't know. Now let me ask you, how many were they playing now? What's the capacity that they could hold? Do you know?
I've off the top of my head, I feel like it's like 35,000. It's a weird ballpark because they have lawn seats in the outfield. It looks like it feels like a
Spring
spring
training.
training. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But they have lawn seats out there. And they have your normal chairs that you have at Shades or City Field, and you know what I mean. Like you could buy chairs, but you can also buy lawn seats. Now that aforementioned Yankees game that I talked about when I was comparing prices for athletics games, lawn seats, Vinny, were $130 to see the Yankees. Right. So I get that. I get
Right.
that. I would not pay that. I mean, unless I was in New York City and I wanted to check that stadium off its list, there ain't no fucking way I'm spending that kind of money on anything that's got New York Yankees on it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So I understand that part of it. I'm not dismissing that part of it.
Right.
But I believe it's around 35 to 40,000 people. It is a smaller venue.
Right.
But they also said if the A's were to make the postseason, they would go to another alternate location to serve as their home field
That's
that has
interesting.
a bigger capacity. So
Where
it's
do you
just
think that would be, Jay? Where the hell would they?
I don't know, Vinny.
That's
You know,
But
when
in
you-
one hand, let's say they do, okay, for argument's sake, they do make the World Series. So they played there the whole season, and now you're going to make them pick up and go to a different ballpark where they don't know the familiarity of the layout, right?
right.
That just sounds weird. Why wouldn't you just keep it there? They're used to that. If they're going to play 162 games, not 82 games, I'm sorry, then why aren't they going to play the playoffs or if they make the World Series there? You know what I'm saying?
Because they're leaving too much money on the table. You
Yep.
feel me?
Right.
Now, what I think they would wind up doing is, and I'm not for sure, obviously, but if I was that organization and if I was MLB and you're so worried about your bottom line and your profit and how much juice can we squeeze out of this fruit that is the athletics?
Right.
when you talk about World Series or you talk about deep in the playoffs, there's only a handful of teams, and unless another California team is playing, why not borrow one of their stadiums? Because the Angels ain't doing shit at that time of
That's
year.
true.
You know,
Right.
it's
Good
it's
point.
a hype. And, you know, now you're going from Oakland to Sacramento, from Sacramento down to LA. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Right.
what the fuck do
I,
we do here? Or San Diego, or
that's true.
who knows?
Who
Who
know?
knows?
Yeah. Yeah. But you nailed it. The Buck, the mighty old Buck. To me, it would be easy. Like I said, you're playing 81 games there. Finish your season there, then go to where? When's Las Vegas going to be ready? Is it next year
Yeah,
or
2 years, I think.
2 years? You know, talking all these stadiums, Jay. I was just talking to somebody earlier today. You know, for City Field, like I told you, they're going to put a freaking casino. I am so, and Cleveland. I'm sorry, the Browns too. I'm not trying to get off subject, but they're building that stadium. They're going to be in what 2029. You're going from a team that's used to playing in the elements, going to put a dome on it, right? 15 miles away from the original stadium, okay? And then you're going to host all of these events. Dude, I've got turned off. I'm like, no. You know, the history, Jason, the history. You know, for it doesn't matter, baseball or football. If they're playing in the elements for 75 years, don't change it. Don't change it. They're putting dome. They're making them more entertainment. It's not just for baseball anymore. It's for concerts. It's for soccer. It's for the no. When is there going to be a true, just baseball stadium? Just baseball. Think about it. There's really none. They all Yankee Stadium. They hold concerts. They do play soccer games on them, but they don't have a dome. I'll give them credit for that. I don't like dome stadiums. Okay, you want to make an argument with the cold weather, you know, for baseball. I'm saying,
Yeah.
like Cleveland or something. Okay, I wouldn't mind it as much, but you know what they're doing to these stadiums is ridiculous. No more hot dogs and Cracker Jacks, sushi. Who the fuck wants to eat sushi and watch baseball? I mean, they got gourmet meals. They got this. What the hell? You know, when I was a kid, it was hot. Yeah, get your hot dogs here and they throw it at you. Here you go, catch some. Right? Oh, it's on the floor. Catch this one. Right? You were able to Cracker Jacks, cotton candy. Now we got to have all this. Oh, get the cold cuts fresh. And then you got to go inside. So you're missing the freaking people eating sushi next to me. Come on now. That's
Right.
not baseball. You know, Jason, it's getting way out of hand. I'm sorry. And it's not going to stop because, like you said, the almighty buck. Oh, we can play baseball, concerts, more sports here. We'll make a ton. It's a dream for owners these days, I guess. But for you and I that grew up, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, and it doesn't push my buttons at all. It really doesn't.
So funny, man. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You know, and now every stadium has their their own themed food. They're the like obviously with Philadelphia, they're known for cheesesteaks, so you can get every kind of cheese steak under the sun at these games. And I mean, yeah, it's cool and everything, but like I don't need to be paying $25 for a fucking sandwich. You know what I mean? I
Exactly.
I've always been a real basic bitch like that. Like when I go to to a ballpark. I don't care if it's MLB. I don't care because my girl and I went and saw the Lansing Lugnuts last season. You know, minor league affiliate for the Athletics.
Oh,
Uh, it's a hot dog and a beer. You know,
okay.
the problem is that when I started going to games on my own, I could spend $15 and get a hot dog and a beer. Now I'm paying $15 for a cup of beer. and then another 10, $12 for a fucking hot dog. We're talking ballpark hot dogs. I'm not talking like Chicago style, you know what I mean? With
Right.
every vegetable known to man piled on top. I just want a fucking hot dog, bro. Why
That's
can I
it.
not? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. But the whole sushi thing, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Dude,
funny as fuck because I get it.
right. And it's real. I know we're laughing and stuff, but that shit is real. They got their own sushi section. I'm like, shit, man. Sushi and baseball to me do not go. I'm
No.
sorry. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Let's look at other things going on here. To my delight, the Rockies are not in the basement. That spot is being currently occupied by the San Francisco Giants, so I'm not mad about that. I know we spent some time talking on the last episode of Ball Game about the Pittsburgh Pirates and this resurgence of popularity that's starting to grow with this team. Other teams that are really making some noise in a positive manner. The Chicago White Sox are trying to do something right now, and clearly I'm paying attention to that because they're in the division with the Tigers.
Right.
Is there any other team right now, Vinny, that aside from Pittsburgh, aside from Chicago White Sox,
Mm-hmm.
Arizona,
Right.
Arizona is trying really hard to break out of this inconsistency that they got going. But is there any other team right now in the last week or two where you're like, there's something going on here?
Absolutely. And I led off with it, I think, in the beginning. The Cardinals. I think St. Louis has got something. Every time I turn on this station, the baseball, they're winning. Not just winning, they're hitting home runs. They're young. They're gritty, and St. Louis has always been good, right? In past, right? Always been good. Um, and did we expect it? Kind of. We always said, they'll always be good. But I have seen them peek their heads out a little bit more. I would say is the Cardinals. Pirates, Cardinals. Um, I don't any other team did not really come at me really really hard. I know we're in the beginning. It's kind of hard to get a feel. But yeah, I'm sticking with St. Louis. That popped out. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. How do you feel about that?
St. Louis is always low key dangerous. I
Right.
mean, and you're looking at an NL Central that there is no clear cut dominant team. Like it has
Right.
fluctuated. It was the Cubs for a minute. It was the Brewers. It was the Cardinals, Pirates, and Cincinnati have been at the bottom of this list for a long time, and now
Right.
they're like I'm starting to see teams that I feel like something has clicked within either the ownership or the way the team itself is approaching the game that they're just so tired of losing and they're thinking outside the box and they're leaning on talent that they didn't necessarily take into consideration. That's why Pittsburgh has been as dangerous as they have been at this stage of this season.
Right.
St. Louis is always dangerous, man, because you're
Yeah.
talking. That's another team with a very rich history in the annals of Major League Baseball. Multiple World Series
Well, they're in
titles.
second, right, Jason?
Yes,
You got the Yankees at 20, 28, and they have, I think, 12 or 14 World Series, the Cardinals,
yeah, yeah.
right? So, yeah, like you said, yeah, yeah, yeah. Who do you like? Who's your surprise, Jay? In the NL or AL? What pops
The
up?
Athletics. I mean, straight up,
Right,
there's no reason why the Athletics should be this good right now,
right,
because I feel like the way that they've been treated and ousted out of the city of Oakland, like these were the bastard stepchildren of MLB. They were what we call in the wrestling business as a jobber, somebody that you would put in the ring with an established star to just get their reps in and make the star look good. That's
Oh, okay.
that's how I felt like the Athletics were being treated. Yeah, I am so dialed into history, lineage. The Oakland Athletics are one of those teams. And it
Absolutely.
bothered me so bad. It bothered me when the Raiders left to go to Las Vegas. They built them this brand new stadium, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And look, beautiful building, Vinny. I've been in it. Yes, my girl and I went to WrestleMania last year, and that's where it was at.
And nice
Beautiful
stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful. For $6 billion, it fucking better be. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
laid out cool. There's not really a bad seat in there. Nice stadium. But when the decision was made to pull the Athletics out of Oakland, and they weren't even ready to move them to Las Vegas, we're just going to yank them. Like, why would you do that?
Right.
Why would you do that? You can't extend. You can't put enough band-aids on that stadium, Oakland Coliseum. Granted, old ass ballpark, but that's what
Right.
made it so cool.
Yes.
You know, Wrigley Field, Kauffman Stadium.
Yep.
These are iconic buildings, and one by one, they're going to fall.
I
You
know.
know,
It kills you, right?
It does.
It does, Jay. It's like, no, what do you, it's like, you just shocked me there. Eventually, right? Like you said, eventually, Boston, right? Fenway,
Yeah.
right? Wrigley, eventually. And then for you and I, oh my God, what do we have left? Of the stadiums. It's
Not a lot.
no. And those ballparks, like you said, they had such charm to them. Strictly baseball oriented. I told you I went to Boston a few times. Not a bad seat in the house. The way they were angled, Jason, I gotta say, beautiful stadium. Shea Stadium was good too. But you know what the big case I think was out there? I heard it all the time, and I'm sure you did too, with the A's. Oh, and I'm sure it's true. They would say it was a very dirty stadium. There's rats, bad drainage systems, this, that. Like you said, I agree with you. Why not put it, you're only a few years away from going to Vegas, a year away, whatever. Put a Band-Aid on it. You've been playing there in those bad terms, right?
Right.
Rats and water and this and that. Play another season there. But there must be some chewing at the bit behind the scenes that's going on for them definitely to get kicked out like that. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the team that I am paying very close attention right now to the Athletics right now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you guys have no shit in business being this good. This, Vinny, this is what they make movies out of. This
Right.
shit right here. This is
Yes.
going to become either a docu-series on Netflix or a full-blown motion picture. This is what they make. This is real life, not Moneyball, but because that's centered on the A's too. But this is going to be that kind of movie. But if they were to win, God damn, if they were
Oh
to
my gosh.
go to the playoffs and make a run towards the ALCS, are you fist fucking me right now? Like, what a
Right.
slap in the face to MLB, to everybody. And I am low-key rooting for that. I would love
Right.
nothing more for this organization, this team. It's not even an organization because they don't have a fucking city to call home right now.
Right.
And I feel so goddamn bad for them. But man, they're taking all of that and they're shoving it down people's throats
Right.
with every single win against some of the elite teams in MLB. And I'm fucking here for it. Bring me my popcorn.
Yep.
I mean, the A's. Like,
You're right.
I am invested in the A's.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with you. Just to shove it right back into them, like you said, make the playoffs, go far, go to the world, win it, go. I would love to see it. Ricky Henderson, he passed away. I mean, he was, you talk about A's teams, he was there in what, late 70s and the 80s. Winfield was there. I mean, you had, think of all the, like you said, it has history. A's was you know, one of the first franchises that really had that charm, that had all those players together playing against the Angels and all that. I mean, it was exciting. Like you said, they were not bad. They weren't a bad team. They were good back then. They were very good. Always competitive. Always.
Yes. Yeah, you look at, eras of that team. They had, Mark McGuire was there before he blew up in St. Louis. Jose Canseco, who,
Right.
I have
Walt
my
Weiss and all that. Right. All them. Yeah.
Dennis Eckersley. They've had
Right.
they've had royalty come through and wear the green and gold of
Right.
the Athletics. So, yeah,
That's
nothing
true.
would thrill me more. I mean, unless it's at the expense of the Tigers and then the
Tigers.
Pistons, but be that as it may, just to make any kind of significant dent,
Yep.
just to remind people of who the fuck they are. Like I'm
Exactly.
here for it. Absolutely
I
here for it.
I agree. I agree.
All right, Vinny, we're coming up. We just passed the hour and a half mark, so let's go ahead and start winding this episode down. I really appreciate you joining me here today as a part of this, and everybody who tuned in, watched us live across our platforms, and those who are going to be listening on demand on the RSS feed, either through Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. So, any other parting words before we put a bow on this?
I just like to say one thing. If anybody, people that are watching, obviously this is our second episode. If there's any suggestions that you guys would like to see or hear about topics, put them in the chat, and Jason and I will take a look at that. And if it sounds good, we will go with it. Anything to make the show, more intriguing to you guys. What are we leaving out or anything? Something, put them in the comments, and we'll bring it to fruition for sure.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
if you haven't done so already, follow us over on Facebook and TikTok. Look for the PFC Entertainment Network or Sports Reel Podcast. And stay tuned because this show is going to be completely separated from the Sports Reel Podcast and become its own entity. So stay
Stand
tuned.
by. And
Stay-
Jason, and especially playoff time. That's when it really gets really, really good with with the baseball. Absolutely, buddy.
Vinny, always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. We'll see you here in a couple weeks. And for everybody else, check out the online store, pfcsportsreel.printify.me or pfcstore.printify.me. That has all of our show products on there for the wrestling shows, my flagship show, the 80s show, like everything's over there. So be sure to check that out. With that, go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you in 2 weeks right here on Ball Game as a part of the PFC Entertainment Network.
You're out.